Yeah, well, there's a very famous quote, which is, "It's very difficult to make predictions, especially about the future." And I think firstly, trying to call where the economy is going to go, as Joachim said, is very, very difficult. There's lots of challenges, really hard to know. Secondly, trying to know what the market's going to do when the economy does that, even if you're right, is equally, probably even more difficult, because we very often find in the past we think the economy is going to do one thing. Even if it does that, the market does completely the opposite of what we think. So we tend not to think in those terms. And I think trying to predict where the stock market is going to go 6 months, 12 months, even 2 years is very difficult. I think it's absolutely right, as has been said, to focus on the long term. I think the valuations in the UK are interesting, but there's actually two big distortions in the market at the moment. The first is what you might call the value growth distortion. So the gap between valuations, there's always a higher quality growth businesses are always on a high premium, or a premium to everything else. That gap has got very, very wide in the last few years. It has come back a bit, but it's still well above average. So your investors are being paid, you have to pay a lot to buy high quality, high growth companies compared to average. And so I think there's still a lot of interesting areas outside of that, of companies that are undervalued. I think the other one that's become a bit more apparent this year is the gap between defensives and cyclical businesses. Because of all the economic uncertainty and inflation uncertainty, defensive businesses understandably have performed very well. Cyclical companies have come down quite a lot, and maybe it comes back to this. You could throw in resources as well. And to your question about the FTSE 100 being very resource heavy and very defensive heavy, that's been an area of strong performance. You could argue that those areas look less attractive. They've had a great run, and there may be scope in the more cyclical areas, and that's typically the FTSE 250, the more domestic companies. And we actually see better value starting to emerge in some of those smaller companies, some of those mid-cap areas, and some of those more domestic and cyclical areas.